I'm Edric,
I'm Joy.
and we're here to help you.
Get it right from the start.
So, after the fun conversation we've had about the book, and really even coming to our conversation with Coach Alex and Coach Kevin, we wanted to see a little bit the man behind the coach or the man behind the author. Congratulations on being authors as well. And because of that, we want to talk about fatherhood. Um, Off camera, before we got started with this conversation, Kevin was telling us of a very crucial moment in your fatherhood journey. Tell us about that. What did you learn?
Yeah, and so I have two boys, and the youngest one, this was a couple years ago. He was playing basketball, and he was in second grade, and it's a team that we haven't beat yet. So going into the game, he's like, "Dad, I really want to beat this team." And the past two games are really tight, and so this game he's playing well. About 18 seconds left. He breaks down the defense. He hits a little floater to put us up one. And so the coach calls a timeout, and the crowd's going wild, right? It's a tight game. And so in the timeout, because I'm coaching him, I say, "Okay, guys, we can't let him do this. We got to stay in front of him. No easy basket." All the coach speak that I learned from Coach Alex, right? And so they come out, the guy dribbles, boom, boom, boom. He goes, and so we have a trapping defense. Remember, it's the second grade, but trapping defense. So the guy dribbles over, and my youngest son is supposed to trap with another second grader. Emphasize second grader because it's important.
Expectations are clear.
So the guy goes, and the other teammate kind of doesn't do his job, and so my son kind of lets him go to where the trap is. The guy gets out of it and shoots the shot. He makes the shot, so they're up by one. And so
The opponents are up by one now.
the other
Yeah.
opponent's
Yeah.
yeah. So the opponent's up by one. So now pause. Let's give my son some credit. Like he looks up, he sees there's like 4 seconds left. He yells at "Hey, take the ball out!" Gets the ball, dribbles, looks at the clock, sees 1 second left, one dribble, shoots a half quarter. He misses. Right,
A half quarter.
half quarter.
That's an important detail.
Yes, he
for a
missed it.
second grader.
Yes, he missed it, but it was close. So what I should have been is I should have been proud. Wow, son, you made the shot to get us up.
The initiative.
The initiative, right? You had enough court awareness, time awareness. That's huge for a second grade. I should have lifted that moment up, but instead, my passion, which we talked about earlier, I walked up to him and I go, "We lost that game because of you." And you see, looking, I can still picture.
You're watching this.
His face. He looked at me, started to tear up, and I said, "Don't cry now. It's not worth it. Go shake their hand."
Oh my goodness.
And
We did not hear that detail, by the way, on camera. That's really important.
so he goes, and of course he's upset. And at this moment, I think the Holy Spirit's pressing onto me. What are you doing?
Mhm.
And I recognize that was a parenting mistake. So in that moment afterwards, I grab him. I say, "Hey, bud, it's not your fault." And I knew that. And I apologized. And this is, I actually share the story in the book here because I'm still in a redemptive journey with my son. About a month ago, he was playing, and now his mom's coaching him. And before the game, again, it's the moving. I think it's a semifinal game, and he's really nervous. And my wife goes, "Hey, what's wrong?" He's like, "Mom, I'm nervous." And she's kind of coaching him. "Hey, don't worry about it. It's not your fault if we don't win or lose." And he's like, "No, I'm the best player. It is my fault." And Summer goes, "No, it's not. It's a team sport." And he goes, "That's not what Dad said." Linking all the way back to that moment.
The wound. It was a wound. Yeah.
It's a wound. And so I'm on a redemptive journey with him, trying to seal it. And I've talked to him multiple times about that. And he's forgiven me. That's been articulated. We've had our moments with that, but I can still see it's open. And so that's something that as a father, I'm still working through. And that really comes back to just the words that come out of our mouth, right? As parents. And, and again, see that passion turned into his burden. And it's still a burden now, a couple of years later.
Yeah.
I'm so curious because you guys are both coaches, both dads, very involved with your kids. And we know parents for life, you guys really love their kids, want them to be successful. why is it that we turn into those kinds of parents when it comes to our kids and their performance? Is it because somehow it reflects on us? I'm trying to understand the psychology behind it as well. Why do you think we are pressured for our kids' success?
Let's hear Alex.
So I think there's a lot of it that's like most of these answers are not just this is it, right? And it depends on context. So we even wrote the book, the idea that like your parenting context is different than mine, is different than his, and we might all have so much in common, and I believe that we do. But even so, totally different situation, totally different situation, totally different situation, right? And in the same way, like the answer is not simple. Sometimes there's a little bit of fear. I have such hopes and dreams for my kids. I don't want them to screw it up because I was hurt when I didn't attain this, right? And sometimes that comes out. Sometimes it is a matter of pride. You're representing our family name, right? Whatever it is. Sometimes
Comptons don't do that.
right, totally, right? Like there's a variety of things, and everybody's reasons or context is different, but it's never. It's just funny. Like, it's not funny. It's sad how in these two countries, Philippines and the U.S., that I love, that I consider my own, I've seen the sports parents who I love, and I go like, "Whoa, what was that? Like, what are we doing?" You know, like that's not good for them. And I really appreciated like so we had to have a lot of calls at night. I really appreciated just talking to Kevin, and like because it was like, oh yeah, I screwed that up too. Let me tell you how I did this one wrong. You know, and it's when you're in community with other parents that you can be open about like it. It's pretty bold for Kevin to just say this stuff.
Right.
That's pretty like out there and vulnerable. When you're in community with other people, you can help each other out.
That's really good.
And somebody gives you feedback that's like, oh, and you get a revelation. I mean, this whole process helped me be a better father.
Yeah. And there's accountability too.
Yeah.
Super.
You were
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah, I just want to highlight that, for those that are listening. So as fathers, well, even as parents in general, I glean two important things from what you guys were saying. First, there needs to be an awareness to your question earlier. You need to be able to understand and stop and think, why am I like this towards my child? Could it be,
The
as you
context
mentioned,
of-
it's my pride,
Right.
right? Could it be, and for you to be aware of that, then it helps you then decide how to resolve it moving forward. That's the one thing I gleaned from. The second is, and I'll echo this because it's super important, the value of community, right? You cannot journey alone. I've said this a number of times to the podcast, but as a parent, wherever you are, even as dads, and let's be honest, it's not normal for dads to really open up, be vulnerable. And I want to just take a segue there and speak to that. How do you guys, there's a stereotype. You're an athlete, you're a high performer. You're not going to be all gushy and say, hey, bro, I got this problem with my kid, So how did that become comfortable for you guys? And how did you realize, hey, this is so important that we talk about these concerns as you shared, you have these calls with Kevin. To the dads that are listening here, any tips?
So I would say and then please build on this. I would say for us, because we have a common faith, though I don't think I've seen other dads do this who don't share our faith. So I want to be clear about that, right?
It's not unique to the faith.
Right. But because both Kevin and I have had this thing where we know we've been forgiven for so much, and we know that our Father loves us so much in spite of
Our Heavenly Father.
Yes. Yeah, sorry. Thank you for pointing that out. Yeah. We're not brothers.
I was thinking, I didn't get that in the brief.
But yeah, our Father in heaven actually loves us in spite of all the stuff that we've done, in spite of all the times we've made the wrong choice, in spite of all the times we've been selfish. And having that basis, there really is like no pride in that process. It's like, I don't come to the table and stand in front of the maker of heaven and earth and go, well, I did X, Y, and Z. And so I never did anything else that was wrong. Right. So pride kind of just there's no place for it. And so we've had a relationship sort of built around that faith. And then for us, that part I'd say makes it easy. Now I've seen other dads who are really into just wanting to be better parents who are learning, who don't maybe share that faith, go after it in the same way. But it certainly isn't easy without something, guys are kind of like, hey man, how you doing? Oh, boy's doing great. Yeah, exactly. Right. Hey, how about the Milwaukee Bucks? Like that's kind of the
So I have a question because there's this whole thing with sports psychology that's becoming really important in sports and everything. Do you think it's necessary, or can dads be the sports psychologist of their children.
Not officially, right? You're saying, but
Honestly, because it becomes necessary sometimes because kids are under a lot of pressure, a lot of stress,
I see.
and we know some people
Yes, yes.
are dealing with this very same thing. But is it possible for fathers to play that role in the lives of their athlete children so that they actually won't need a sports psychologist?
So I'll plant one seed and then I'll let him talk because he'll have better insight. My brother's a counseling psychologist,
Okay.
so he's trained.
Is he the 6'8" guy? No, 6'5"
So,
guy.
no.
Different one.
He's only 6'2".
Okay, only 6'2". Only.
Yeah, but he listens. Most psychologists, you don't sit down with them and they lecture you.
Mm.
They listen way more.
That's good.
So I think even if you want to take that on as a non-trained professional
Professional,
person,
that's good.
be very careful, but be prepared to do a lot of listening.
That's good.
Because a lot of times as people process, the answer comes out and you don't really have to do much. And a lot of times as parents, if you have the type of relationship where you can listen, that's building something that's not common, unfortunately, in the parent-child relationship. So that's it.
So my initial response to most things is roles and responsibility. So what is your role in that moment? So sometimes, like I'm my son's coach, which is going to be next year in high school. I'll be his coach. And so what does that look like versus dad? Sometimes I'll coach him this past summer. And one of my favorite stories was in a timeout, I told our team to do something, and which essentially wasn't shoot a shot. And so I don't want this, blah, blah, blah. And so I diagram it out. And so he goes and he shoots the shot I didn't want him to. So I call him over and I chew him out, right? I said, that's not the shot I want, right? And then afterwards I grab him, bring him in. I said, your dad said that's a good shot. Your coach doesn't like it.
That's really interesting.
Right?
That's really
Because there's a difference.
Yes.
Because as a dad,
Yes.
you'll say, man, he's open.
Yeah.
He needs to shoot that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But your coach is saying that's not the right shot.
That's not the play.
So I don't want him to get confused, which he's probably confused anyway.
I was gonna say, how does he not get confused?
Who am I talking to? Are you coach or dad?
Are you in there, Dad?
So there's a role and responsibility
Yeah.
in different moments.
That's really
Sometimes, and Alex and I do this as well, as we're mentors because we've gone through this athletic journey. So sometimes I'm not a dad, I'm just kind of a mentor. Say, hey, son, this is what I think you should be doing. And we're kind of mentoring. But get specifically to your question about sports psychology is, at least in my household, there's a partnership there with my wife. And so I'm much more of a talker than she is, which is typically how things work. And she'll be the one that's the quiet woman, the one that listens. And she'll be kind of the sounding board for him. And then she'll bring me into those conversations as well. Like, hey, just want to let you know this is what's going on with your boy. And then I'll reflect on those. I'm like, okay, how do I approach this? And so we'll kind of partner within that. She kind of gets those more authentic moments when and this is, I don't know if this happens at your house, but where, son, you can tell me anything. Why'd you tell me that? That's not true.
Could tell me anything, right? I hear you. We're laughing because it's true. Look, Alex is totally laughing. It's so true.
But mom is the spot that
Right.
can land.
Yes.
And then we kind of partner with how do we navigate this part together.
Right. And this is an aside, but I'm curious. Have there been moments where the team looks at you all as the coach of your respective children and they're like, they're playing favorites? Because that could be a tendency. Does that make sense? There's like a built-in COI, if you will, when you're coaching your own kids, because for all the reasons we already talked about, how do you deal with that?
Had that yet?
Well, so I shielded myself because I've only coached 5th grade basketball twice and then as an assistant on the 7th grade team. So the way that I shielded myself in our context was I don't care who you are. Everybody gets equal playing time. We had 10 kids on the team each year.
Got it.
And so it was like we shift,
Optics are clear.
platoon shift. And both times my son's either the best or one of the 2 best players on the team.
But he gets equal time.
And if you start, you don't finish the game.
Yeah.
And if you don't start, you finish the game.
good.
So sometimes in a close game, my son's sitting next to me. You can't say anything.
Got it.
Because he can play. He should be out there, but he's not because it's 5th grade.
And even at the risk of losing at times.
Now, oh, totally.
Yeah.
We've actually lost games with that
As a-
setup, but it's 5th grade basketball in a small school where all the kids come out. They're supposed to have fun. His context is different By the way, he's a 6-time coach of the year in his high school conference.
Wow.
So his context is different because he has to win. So I'll defer to the expert on this
Wait,
one.
I wanted to just land on that. He has to win. Isn't it that all competitions should be driven by winning?
Well, I always think there should be a scoreboard,
Mhm.
but you have to understand, like, what do you have? And so the school team was a school team that plays in a private school league
I see.
that's not serious, and it sort of exists so that kids will learn how to
The
play.
exposure. Yeah.
So if the greater purpose is this,
Yeah.
then you find different ways. And I'm not saying I have the only right way to do
very
it,
good.
but for us, that protected it and it ensured all
good.
parents and everybody could be engaged.
That's very good. Thanks for that. I mean, it's
Yeah.
very helpful again. So that you're the purpose of your athletic journey, if you will, has to be also defined, like in that case, so
Yeah.
that expectations are clear. Yeah, Kevin.
I'll just add to that, and then I
Yeah.
can answer the other
Sure.
one. How do you define success?
Mhm.
So right now, my youngest is on a team, and so I'm actually coaching that one.
Mhm.
And I flat out told everybody, I said, "Hey, my goal as a coach is that your child walks away loving the game of basketball.
That's good.
And they get better.
That's good.
That's my
That's the
definition.
goal.
of success.
That's good.
We're gonna try to win every game,
Mhm.
but not at the expense of these two.
Right.
And so that's at a younger. Now, at older age, it's different, right? We start moving towards, hey, we're going to go win.
Mhm.
And so this year, my son's going to be a freshman in high school, and I will be coaching his for the first time where I'm the head coach.
Oh no.
And so I'll have to navigate that journey. And my conversation with him, his son, the outside world is going to think that there is nepotism.
Mhm.
And so everything, you can't be 50-50,
Mhm.
right? Because if it's 50-50, then everybody's going to think it's this. So instead, for him, the bar's higher. You got to push yourself more. You have to make everybody know. And if you don't, that's okay. You're a freshman.
Mm.
But as he grows. And then the other team that I was telling you that when I mentioned, like, hey, dad says a great shot, coach says not. I'm the assistant coach. And so right now I kind of have a buffer. So in a couple of years, I'll tell you how difficult it is. So I don't have that
Well,
encouragement.
and, if you think you guys, I believe you've been a pretty successul businessman. You've run some stuff. You've roles and responsibilities, right?
Yeah.
Like not enough people sit down and talk with this people. Here's what I need you to do in this role, Edric. I need you to do boom, boom, boom. Here's the expectation. Here's what it's going to look like. Let's meet and talk about this from time to time. And so it's clear. Clarity is really important. So if you do that, you can really help mitigate. A lot of us parents assume you're my kid, you should know. They're a kid, they don't know, right? A lot of times that's the case. And so having a sit down, a clear explanation and asking for feedback. Okay, now explain to me in different words what I just
That's
said.
really good.
I want to hear and make sure that you understand.
Really good.
You have those little conversations. They don't have to be a half an hour. Then it can really mitigate some of the problems in front of you.
I think
He's
this works.
coaching me right now. This is like life coaching also. It works for parenting in general. Yeah, in parenting. Yeah. Let me understand what you're trying to say. So what I'm saying, is it clear to you? So yeah, good question.
Question. I think like if you could maybe as we wind this segment down, if you could imagine speaking to your younger selves as dads, what would be a message that you had for them that would also encourage the fathers who are
That may or may not be in the book. Preferably not in the book.
The first two words that came to mind is relax, dude.
Mm.
And not that it's not a weighty thing, because it is a weighty thing. But sometimes the weighty thing, the intensity of emotion, not necessarily. Like a lot of when you're not prepared for something, you can react in a powerful way that you don't need that. Right. And so the first two things I would think to tell myself as a young dad, relax, dude. Think about where they are in their developmental stage. Don't hold them accountable for things they don't know and couldn't do yet. You as a leader need to be accountable for understanding where they are.
yeah.
And that's how we're going to tell
I
people.
think that's so important because I don't think a lot of dads ever think about the developmental stage of their child.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of times we just all parent from
Instinct.
like maybe we call it instinct, but a lot of times
Example.
what we inherited kind of from our own upbringing, and we think, well, I turned out okay, so
Yeah.
but I think that's why this book is important, is because I think you frame that in here that
Yeah.
there are important developmental stages, and we need to be sensitive to those. And you
Also
are
the base book that Wallace built, right? We talked about.
yes, and,
Yeah,
and,
it's really
and you
good.
are not just a coach. You're an academic person. You're an educator. You're heading up a school. So I would imagine that you also have insights on what you would tell your
Younger self. So let's hear that, Kevin.
Yeah, so I would say, what's the goal?
Mm.
Right? What are we striving for? I remember when I was, my oldest was about 4 years old, and I was venting to my pastor. And because at that point I was expecting perfection from him. And we're driving, we just got coffee, and we're driving down this road, and he taps me on my leg. He goes, Kevin, your goal isn't to create the perfect 4-year-old. And it hit me. He goes, you want to be a fully functioning adult. And so I've kind of taken that phrase and the one that we put earlier about,
End goal.
with the end goal. And it's like, oh shoot, right? Like sometimes we get so, I want to make a perfect 11-year-old and a perfect 15-year-old. And so parental, and I'm sure Alex gets this, oh, your kids are so good. Why, what are you doing? And I'll tell him, listen, I know how to make a pretty good 15-year-old. I've done 11 twice, but I don't know if at the end goal, if it's the right way, because there's not just one way.
It's good.
Right. And so that's what for me is, what's the goal? And
Fantastic.
so caught up in that.
Fantastic. Even in that nugget we heard from Coach Kevin here, you also used someone externally help speak to you about that also. So on this episode about dads, thanks again, Coach Alex, Coach Kevin. I wanted us to remember that just call that out, the value of community. So even if you are a dad and you're thinking, I'm not sure that that's for me, it's powerful. It is so effective, and it will help you become a better father. And if you're in sports, maybe even better coach.
I just want to add, I mean, I know we're talking to dads, but from a mom's perspective, what you guys share, I think it's also the community of your own marriage and partnering together, like what you said about your wife, Summer, coming alongside you. And we have to complement each other where we lack, and his strengths are a complement to me. And if there are areas where I can help support him in his fatherhood journey, I should do that as well. So I think, thanks guys. Really appreciate that.
Coach, assistant coach, working together. Thank you guys. I'm Edric.
I'm Joy.
And we're here to help you
Get it right from the start.